welcome to our deep dive into Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
This book, it's a classic for a reason, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's packed with advice from Andrew Carnegie, like one of history's most successful businessmen.
Right.
And
like a titan of industry.
yeah, we're gonna unpack his formula for success
Yeah.
and see how it applies to you today.
It's really fascinating how Carnegie believed that success wasn't about luck, but a specific formula, a secret even,
Ooh.
that he passed on to Hill. And get this, Charles M. Schwab, one of Carnegie's associates, used this formula to build a fortune with U.S. Steel. We're talking hundreds of millions.
Wow, that's a lot of steel.
Yeah.
But here's the catch, right?
Okay.
Hill never explicitly reveals the secret in the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, instead he sprinkles clues throughout like it's a treasure hunt for success.
Oh, interesting.
So as we go through this, keep an ear out for those clues.
So he wants us to engage with the material, right?
Right, yeah, not just passively read it.
Yeah. And speaking of engagement, one of the most striking stories is about Edwin Barnes.
Okay.
And he didn't just want to work for Thomas Edison. He was determined to work with him.
Oh, wow, now that's ambition.
Yeah.
And Barnes had every reason to give up, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have money or connections.
Oh, so how'd he do it?
He basically showed up at Edison's lab.
What?
With pure determination.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's what Hill emphasizes, burning desire.
Right.
Barnes's success wasn't just a fluke,
Yeah.
He visualized working with Edison. He planned his approach. He even took a lesser job.
Oh, wow.
Just to be in the right place.
It's all about putting yourself out there.
It's a great example of how a clear vision and relentless action can pay off.
Makes you wonder what you could achieve with that level of focus, right?
Yeah.
What are those dreams you've put on hold? Maybe it's time to dust them off.
Yeah.
And channel your inner Edwin Barnes.
It's out there.
But what happens when things don't go as planned? Hill has something to say about that too, right?
Absolutely. He dedicates a lot of space to this idea of defeat as a stepping stone.
Okay.
Take this story of Darby, the insurance salesman. Initially, he failed in his quest for gold.
You'd think that would be pretty demoralizing,
Yeah.
giving up a comfortable life,
Right.
only to come up empty-handed.
Yeah, I mean, most people would just give up.
Right. But Darby didn't see it that way.
So what happened?
Oh.
What was his perspective?
Well, he realized that the experience taught him valuable lessons about persistence and salesmanship.
Huh, interesting.
He even coined a personal mantra.
Okay.
I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never stop because men say no when I ask them to buy insurance.
That's powerful.
That's a powerful way to reframe failure.
Yeah.
So Hill's telling us setbacks are inevitable, but it's how we learn from them that matters.
It's about building that resilience, right?
Exactly, building that resilience muscle.
Now, along with resilience, Hill highlights the importance of faith and autosuggestion. And by faith, he doesn't necessarily mean religion,
Right.
but rather a deep belief in your ability to achieve your goals. So not necessarily like religious faith.
And this ties into the concept of autosuggestion, right?
Exactly.
The idea that repeating affirmations
Yeah.
can shape your reality.
Mhm.
Sounds a little out there, but Hill provides some compelling examples.
He does, including a very personal story
Okay.
about his own son, who was born with a physical limitation.
Wow.
And through consistent positive affirmations and belief, his son was able to overcome this limitation.
That's incredible.
It really underscores the power of the mind.
It makes you wonder what else we might be capable of if we harness the power of our thoughts.
Right.
Speaking of powerful things, Hill has some interesting thoughts about knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
He challenges the idea that just knowing stuff is enough.
Right. Because a lot of people think knowledge is power.
Yeah.
But he says that's not the whole story.
So it's not just about accumulating knowledge.
It's about applying it strategically to achieve a desired outcome.
That's where specialized knowledge comes in, right?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
He'll use the example of Henry Ford, who didn't have much formal education,
Right.
but became a master of his craft.
He was a tinkerer.
Yeah. Ford focused on learning what he needed to know to build his automotive empire, and he surrounded himself with people who had expertise in areas he didn't.
So it's about focusing on relevant knowledge and building a skilled team.
Yeah, like finding people who complement your skill set.
And along with knowledge, Hill talks a lot about imagination,
Okay.
which he breaks down into 2 forms, synthetic and creative.
Oh, that's interesting because it's a bit more nuanced than just saying be imaginative, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
The synthetic imagination is about taking existing ideas and combining them in new ways,
Oh, okay.
whereas the creative imagination generates entirely new ideas.
So if you were like trying to come up with a new product, you might use your synthetic imagination to research existing products and find ways to combine their best features.
Right, like taking the best of what's out there.
But if you wanted to invent something truly groundbreaking,
Yeah.
you'd need to tap into that creative imagination.
Like thinking outside the box.
Yeah, to come up with something entirely new.
And he uses this great story called The Enchanted Kettle
Okay.
to illustrate how even ordinary objects can be springboards for wealth
Oh, wow.
if you have the right mindset.
It reminds me of those Shark Tank pitches.
Yeah.
Where someone takes a simple concept and turns it into $1 million business.
Right.
It's all about seeing the potential
Yeah.
in things that others might overlook.
Now even the most brilliant ideas need support.
They do.
And that's where Hill's mastermind principle comes in.
Okay, so remind us what that is.
He argues that no one achieves great success alone.
Hmm.
The mastermind principle is about forming a group of like-minded individuals
Yeah.
who collaborate and amplify each other's strengths.
So it's like having your own personal board of advisors.
That's a good way to put it.
People who challenge you, inspire you, help you see things from different perspectives.
He actually credits the mastermind principle as one of the key factors in Henry Ford's success.
Makes sense.
Ford surrounded himself with brilliant minds like Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, and Luther Burbank.
Wow, what a crew.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't just offer advice, they actively collaborated and supported each other's ventures.
So it's not just about networking, it's
No.
about forming deep, meaningful relationships.
Yeah, building genuine
And the
connections.
people who share your vision
Yeah,
and are committed to your success
absolutely.
makes you think about who you'd want in your own mastermind group.
Now, building on this idea of collaboration and the power of the mind, Hill introduces this concept he calls the sixth sense.
Okay, before you go any further, I was just about to ask, are we about to talk about ghosts?
No.
Okay.
Not ghost. He's actually referring to something quite different.
So what exactly is this sixth sense, according to Hill?
He describes it as the faculty of creative imagination,
Okay.
that ability to tap into a source of knowledge and inspiration beyond our conscious awareness
It's like having access to a hidden reservoir of creativity and insight.
that most people don't even realize they have.
Wow.
And what's interesting is that Hill doesn't attribute this sixth sense to some mystical power.
Right?
He believes it's a natural human faculty
Okay.
that can be developed through practice.
So it's not something you're born with.
It's something you cultivate.
How did you do that?
Well, he suggests techniques like creative visualization,
Mm-hmm.
where you vividly imagine your goals and desired outcomes,
Okay.
and what he calls the invisible council,
Wait,
where you hold imaginary meetings with people you admire, drawing on their wisdom.
Interesting.
Sounds a bit unconventional.
It does.
But Hill claims that this technique was instrumental in developing his own philosophy and achieving success.
So it's about surrounding yourself, even if just mentally, with people you admire and learning from their experiences.
Right, drawing on their wisdom and inspiration.
It's fascinating how Hill connects these seemingly disparate concepts.
Right.
The power of the mind,
Yeah.
the importance of collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
and the cultivation of creative imagination
Working together.
to create this roadmap for success.
It's like he's saying success is not just about hard work and determination.
Right.
It's about tapping into this hidden potential within ourselves
Yeah.
and leveraging the power of collective intelligence.
It's about understanding that we are more than just our physical bodies.
Right.
We have this incredible mental and spiritual capacity.
That when properly harnessed can lead to amazing things.
Now, as we move further into Hill's philosophy, we have to address a topic
Mhm.
that he believed was deeply intertwined with success and creativity.
Okay, what's that?
And that is the power of the subconscious mind,
Okay.
particularly the influence of emotions,
Okay.
and what he termed sex transmutation.
Okay, that's definitely a topic that might raise some eyebrows.
It might.
It's important to approach this with an open mind.
Sure.
And remember the context of the time period when Hill was writing.
Yeah.
He believed that sexual energy was one of the most powerful forces in human nature.
Okay.
And instead of suppressing or misdirecting it,
Right.
he advocated for channeling this energy into creative and productive pursuits.
So it's not about denying or repressing these natural urges.
Right.
It's about finding a way to redirect them towards something positive.
Exactly. Think of it like this.
Hmm.
We all have a finite amount of energy.
Mm-hmm.
When we're consumed by negative emotions or unproductive habits,
Mm-hmm.
that energy is being wasted.
Yeah.
But when we consciously choose to focus that energy on our goals and passions,
Yeah.
we can achieve remarkable things.
It's like turning up the heat under a boiling pot of water.
I like that analogy.
The more energy we focus on our goals,
Mm-hmm.
the faster we can bring them to fruition.
Right, but we have to be mindful of the forces that might cool that fire.
Mm-hmm. We do, and that brings us to a concept that Hill dedicated a significant portion of the book to exploring:
Which is?
the 6 ghosts of fear.
Ooh, that sounds ominous.
It does. It does.
So what are these ghosts?
Well, Hill identified 6 basic fears
Okay.
that he believed held people back from achieving their full potential:
All right, so what are they?
poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death.
Those are pretty heavy hitters.
They are. These are fears that we all experience to some degree.
Right.
But Hill argued that if we let them control us, they can paralyze us
Yeah.
and prevent us from taking action.
It's like those fears become these invisible barriers that keep us trapped.
Inner comfort zones.
Yeah, preventing us from pursuing our dreams.
So he doesn't just leave us cowering in the shadows of these ghosts of fear.
No. He gives us tools to fight back.
What kind of tools?
He provides specific strategies for addressing each of these fears,
Okay.
emphasizing the importance of decisive action, positive thinking, and building a strong mental foundation.
So Hill is saying that while fear is a natural human emotion, it doesn't have to control our lives.
We have the power to choose how we respond to it.
And to illustrate this point, Hill uses a rather compelling real-life example, doesn't he?
He does. The story of King Edward VIII and Wallace Simpson.
Ah, yes, a story of love, sacrifice, and defying societal expectations.
Oh, wait, a story.
Quite a story. What does a king abdicating his throne have to do with overcoming fear?
Well, Hillard uses this example to highlight the power of choosing personal happiness
Mm-hmm.
and fulfillment over external pressures.
Okay.
King Edward was willing to give up the throne, the ultimate symbol of power and status,
Right.
for the woman he loved.
Oh.
He faced immense criticism and opposition, but ultimately he followed his heart.
It's a powerful example of someone overcoming the fear of judgment and choosing to live a life true to himself.
Regardless of the consequences.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. We've explored the intrigue of Carnegie's secret, uncovered the power of burning desire and resilience,
Lots of great stuff.
and even delved into the somewhat controversial concept of sex transmutation.
It's a lot to take in.
But there's much more to uncover. In the next part, we'll continue to unravel Hill's philosophy for success,
Sounds good.
exploring his strategies for overcoming fear and harnessing the power of the subconscious mind.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned.
See you next time.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. In the last part, we left off with those ominous ghosts of fear that Hill says can hold us back.
Right. He calls out fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death as major culprits. But he doesn't just leave us to shiver in our boots. He offers ways to fight back.
So it's not about pretending we're not afraid. It's about learning to dance with those fears and not let them call the shots. What kind of strategies does Hill offer?
Well, for the fear of poverty, he suggests shifting our focus to abundance. Instead of dwelling on what we lack, we should concentrate on the resources and opportunities that are available to us. It's about seeing the glass half full, even when things are tight.
It reminds me of that saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If we constantly focus on scarcity, that's what we'll attract into our lives.
Exactly. And when it comes to the fear of criticism, Hill encourages us to develop a thick skin and not let the opinions of others dictate our actions. Think of all the groundbreaking ideas that were initially met with ridicule. If those innovators had caved to criticism, we'd be missing out on so much progress.
Like, imagine if the Wright brothers had given up just because people thought their idea of a flying machine was crazy.
Exactly. Their belief in their vision, despite the doubt from others, led to one of the most transformative inventions in history. Hill uses examples like this throughout the book to show that criticism is often a sign that you're on the right track, doing something truly innovative.
It makes you think about those times when you've held back from sharing an idea or pursuing a goal because you were afraid of what others might think.
He also reminds us that even the most successful people face criticism. It's how we handle it that determines whether it breaks us or makes us stronger.
So it's about developing that inner resilience and focusing on the bigger picture rather than getting bogged down by negativity.
Now, another fear Hill tackles is the fear of ill health. And this one is interesting because he emphasizes the power of positive thinking.
He even mentions experiments where people were made ill just by being told they looked unwell. It's like the mind has this incredible power to influence the body.
And we see more and more evidence of this mind-body connection in modern science. Hill's ahead of his time on this one. He suggests that dwelling on illness can actually manifest it in our bodies.
So it's not about ignoring legitimate health concerns, but rather cultivating a positive mental attitude and focusing on wellness.
Right? He's advocating for a proactive approach to health, both mentally and physically. Now, the fear of loss of love is one that hits close to home for many people.
It's a deep-seated fear that can drive a lot of our decisions and behaviors.
Hill's advice here is to cultivate self-love and not make our happiness dependent on the approval or affection of others. Easier said than done, right?
Definitely. But it's about recognizing our own worth and not seeking validation from external sources.
He argues that true security and happiness come from within, not from external validation. It's about finding that sense of wholeness and self-acceptance that allows us to navigate relationships from a place of strength and confidence.
So it's not about becoming completely detached, but rather cultivating a sense of inner peace and security that allows us to connect with others from a place of authenticity.
Now, the last two fears Hill addresses, old age and death, are perhaps the most universal and the most difficult to grapple with.
He suggests that we often approach aging with fear and resistance because we've been conditioned by society to view it as a decline.
He challenges this perspective, encouraging us to see aging as a process of growth and wisdom, and to embrace the natural cycle of life and death.
It's about shifting our perspective and appreciating the different stages of life rather than fearing the inevitable.
Exactly. And when we can accept the natural cycle of life, it frees us to live more fully in the present moment.
It's like that saying, don't fear death, fear not living.
Now, weaving throughout his discussion of these 6 fears is Hill's emphasis on decisive action as the antidote to fear.
He's not saying we should be reckless, but rather that we shouldn't let fear paralyze us.
He argues that procrastination and indecision are often rooted in fear, and that the only way to break free is to make a decision and take action, even if it's imperfect.
It's like that quote, the only way to do it is to do it. Sometimes the most important step is simply to start, to take that first leap of faith.
He even shares a story of a man on death row who found peace and acceptance by making the decision to resign himself to his fate.
Wow, that's a powerful example of how, even in the face of the ultimate fear, choosing how we respond can give us a sense of agency.
And while most of us won't face such dire circumstances, the principle applies to our everyday lives. The more we practice making decisions and taking action, the easier it becomes, and those fears start to lose their grip on us.
So facing those ghosts of fear is about understanding their nature, recognizing their often irrational basis, focusing on abundance and positive thinking, taking decisive action, and embracing the natural cycle of life.
It's a process of becoming aware of our fears, choosing not to be ruled by them, and taking steps to move forward despite them.
Now, moving beyond those fears and into the realm of the mind, Hill spends a lot of time talking about the subconscious and its power to shape our reality.
He's adamant that the subconscious mind is a powerful force, but it can be a double-edged sword. It can work for us or against us depending on what we feed it.
He uses the analogy of the subconscious mind being like fertile soil. Whatever we plant in it, whether positive or negative, will grow.
It doesn't judge or discriminate. It simply accepts what we give it and works to bring those thoughts into reality.
So if we're constantly feeding it thoughts of fear, doubt, and limitation, that's what will manifest in our lives. But if we cultivate thoughts of courage, abundance, and success, those seeds will take root and flourish as well.
This is where the principle of autosuggestion comes in. By consciously choosing the thoughts we dwell on, we can influence our subconscious mind and shape our reality.
It sounds a bit like what people call manifesting these days, the idea that our thoughts can influence our reality.
Exactly. Hill was a proponent of this idea long before it became a popular concept. He believed that we could reprogram our subconscious minds by repeatedly feeding them positive affirmations and visualizations.
So it's about becoming aware of our negative self-talk and replacing it with positive, empowering thoughts.
He even provides a self-confidence formula in the book that involves writing down your desires, memorizing them, and repeating them daily until they become ingrained in your subconscious.
It's like creating a mental blueprint for success.
And Hill argues that the key to making autosuggestion work is to infuse those thoughts with emotion.
Because emotion adds power to the thought, making it more likely to stick in the subconscious.
Exactly. And this brings us back to Hill's concept of sex transmutation, which I know can be a bit of a head-scratcher.
I think a lot of people might be wondering how this fits into the bigger picture.
Hill believed that sexual energy was one of the most powerful forces in human nature, and instead of suppressing or misdirecting it, he advocated for consciously channeling this energy into creative and productive pursuits.
So it's not about denying or repressing these natural urges, but rather understanding their power and finding constructive ways to express them.
Think of it like this. We all have a vast reservoir of energy within us, and learning how to harness and direct that energy is crucial for success in any area of life.
So it's about mastering our emotions and drives rather than letting them master us.
Hill believed that this process of transmutation required willpower and discipline, but the rewards were well worth the effort.
Now, as we delve deeper into Hill's philosophy, we encounter a concept that is both intriguing and a bit mysterious: the sixth sense.
Remember, Hill is not talking about seeing dead people here. He uses the sixth sense to describe the faculty of creative imagination, that ability to tap into a source of knowledge and inspiration that goes beyond our conscious awareness.
It's like that aha moment when a brilliant idea seemingly comes out of nowhere.
He provides fascinating examples of individuals like Thomas Edison, who famously said he could tune in to a higher source of intelligence.
He makes it sound like Edison had a direct line to the universe's idea factory.
Well, Hill believed that this sixth sense wasn't some supernatural power, but a natural human faculty that could be developed through practice and focused effort.
So how do we tap into this sixth sense? Does Hill offer any guidance?
He suggests techniques like mental stimulation, where you deliberately engage your imagination, visualize your goals, and allow your mind to wander freely in search of solutions and inspiration.
It sounds a bit like meditation, but with a specific intention.
Exactly. Hill also believed that the sixth sense was more accessible when we were in a state of relaxed alertness, a state where our conscious mind is quiet and our subconscious is receptive to new ideas.
It's like creating a space for inspiration to flow in.
He even describes his own experience using a technique he called the invisible council, where he would hold imaginary meetings with a group of historical figures he admired, drawing on their wisdom and inspiration.
So it's about surrounding yourself, even if just mentally, with people you admire and learning from their experiences.
Hill believed that by engaging in these practices, you could access a wealth of creative solutions and insights that would otherwise remain hidden.
It's fascinating how he connects these concepts: the power of the mind, the importance of collaboration, and the cultivation of creative imagination to create this roadmap for success.
It's like he's saying that success is not just about hard work and determination, but also about tapping into the hidden potential within ourselves and leveraging the power of the subconscious mind.
It's about understanding that we are capable of achieving far more than we might initially believe.
Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've covered so far. We've explored Hill's strategies for overcoming the 6 ghosts of fear, delved into the power of the subconscious mind, and touched on the concept of sex transmutation and the sixth sense.
It's been quite a journey through the landscape of the mind.
It has. But there's still more to uncover as we explore Hill's insights on harnessing the power of our thoughts, building a success-oriented mindset, and using those principles to make a positive impact on the world.
So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich, where we'll explore those concepts and bring this journey to a close. We're back for the final leg of our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. We've talked about fears, the subconscious mind, even channeling energy. Now it feels like we're getting to the heart of Hill's philosophy.
You're right. This is where it all comes together.
Mm-hmm.
Hill's big idea is that our thoughts are incredibly powerful. They actually shape our reality.
He doesn't just mean this figuratively, right?
No. He believes thoughts have a real vibrational energy.
Okay, I'm intrigued. It's like we're all walking around broadcasting our thoughts and picking up on the thoughts of others.
That's exactly what Hill proposes.
Wow.
He compares our brains to broadcasting and receiving stations for these thought vibrations.
Okay.
And if that's true, it means we have a lot more control over our lives than we realize.
So if I'm constantly thinking negative thoughts, I'm not just bringing myself down.
Right.
I'm potentially affecting the people around me.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, if we're consciously cultivating positive, constructive thoughts, we're not just benefiting ourselves. We're contributing to a more positive collective energy.
It makes you think twice about what you're putting out into the world, right?
Absolutely. And this leads to another important point, guarding our minds against negative influences.
So it's not just about our own thoughts,
Right.
but also being mindful of the company we keep, the information we consume,
Yeah.
even the environments we spend time in.
It's exactly. Hill warns that negative thoughts and beliefs can be contagious, just like a virus.
Okay.
If we're constantly surrounded by negativity, it's going to seep into our subconscious and influence our thinking.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right.
So if we want to cultivate a positive mindset, we need to surround ourselves with positive influences.
He even goes so far as to say that we should avoid gossip and complaining,
Really?
because those activities lower our vibration and attract negativity.
So it's about being proactive in creating a positive mental environment, both internally and externally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, while Hill emphasizes the power of individual thought, he also stresses that success is not a solo endeavor.
Right. We've talked about the mastermind principle, the idea of collaborating with like-minded individuals to achieve common goals.
He reiterates this throughout the book, urging readers to build a network of mentors, partners, and allies who can support their journey. He says that no one achieves greatness in isolation.
He also talks about the importance of service.
Yes.
The idea that true success involves contributing to something larger than ourselves.
He argues that by using our talents and resources to help others, we create a ripple effect of goodwill and abundance that ultimately benefits everyone, including ourselves.
It's a beautiful concept that our individual success is intertwined with the well-being of others.
And it's not just about altruism.
Right.
Hill believed that service was a key ingredient in the formula for success. He saw it as a way to create positive karma, to build relationships, and to expand our impact on the world.
As we approach the end of this deep dive, it feels like there's this overarching message of hope and empowerment that runs through Think and Grow Rich.
Absolutely. Hill truly believed that everyone, regardless of their circumstances or background, has the potential for greatness.
He repeatedly emphasizes that limitations are often self-imposed and that the only real limits we face are the ones we set in our own minds.
He urges readers to embrace their unique talents, to never give up on their dreams, and to believe in the power of their own minds to achieve anything they set their hearts on.
It's a powerful message that resonates just as strongly today as it did when the book was first published.
And as we wrap up this exploration of Hill's work, there's one final quote that I think captures the essence of Think and Grow Rich.
Okay, lay it on me.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve.
Wow. It's so simple, yet so profound.
It really sums up the core message of the book. Hill believed that our thoughts have the power to shape our reality, and that with the right mindset, belief, and action, we can achieve anything we set our minds to.
It's been an incredible journey diving deep into Napoleon Hill's wisdom.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We've explored so much. The power of desire, the importance of resilience, the 6 ghosts of fear, the power of the subconscious mind.
And even touched on some pretty mind-bending concepts like sex transmutation and the 6th sense.
It's a lot to process.
It is. But hopefully you've gained some valuable insights and inspiration that will help you on your own journey to success.
I know I have. Think and Grow Rich is one of those books that you can revisit again and again and always find something new to learn.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not just about reading the book. It's about applying the principles to your own life.
So take those insights, put them into action, and see what incredible things you can create.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.